this session. I really appreciate all you guys taking time on Saturday while a lot of folks will be enjoying watching TV, which means you guys have commitment to do something great in your life, learn, I think, appreciate yourself. Then we'll start, right? Thanks, Mel, for a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. And thanks, Skill Link, for this opportunity to talk to students, share my thoughts. So these are my personal thoughts, nothing related to my organization as such. I just wanted to call out that these are my personal thoughts overall. So yeah, let's get started. I think given the students are the primary audience to a great extent, I'll try to fine tune this content to students so that you understand what is cloud computing, how does it benefit you guys overall. At the same time, if someone is experienced, probably you might be knowing all this information, but I hope you learn something new from this session, which will be helpful for you going forward, right? So if you guys observe, right, the session's subtitle, don't be left behind, learn it and get a high paying job, right? You guys would have been hearing about cloud computing for several years, right? It's been there from past 5+ years or 6 years, all those things. But continuously, it's been increasing altogether. So in today's job market, this is one of the most marketable skill, which is giving a lot of opportunity for anyone. It could be students, graduates, or even someone like 10 years experienced persons. So I think this skill going forward will make anyone to stand out from the crowd. I think that kind of skill is one is cloud computing. So that's the reason I thought of, okay, don't be left behind with the trend, learn it at the right point and get into a momentum where you can get into a high paying job and a good position as you move forward in the career, right? The world is changing, evolving very faster than before. As a result, the demand for skilled professionals also changing, right? With that, the cloud computing will become hot in the marketplace. So this webinar is for anyone who is looking forward to learn, understand what is cloud computing, what are the different trends going on, how can I start my journey as a person who is not even understanding the cloud, right? That's what is the cloud computing, this journey altogether, right? So in this session today, we'll talk about 5 major things. I think from each other thing, you should be able to get the outcomes as such. First, what is cloud computing? Understand cloud computing versus what is other than cloud computing. Earlier, how traditional computing used to be done. Organizations, how they used to operate. What's the big difference between cloud computing versus traditional computing? Plus, why is it growing in the first place? Why is so much demand? What are the benefits it's giving to individuals or organizations? What can it be, right? In the first place, why is there so much boom in there in the second? The third thing is, yes, it's growing, but what are the new trends which are about to come in next year or upcoming years by 2023, 2030? How does the cloud is shaping the industries, different industries? It could be health, it could be education industry, lot many industries. But in this specific seminar, I think session will talk about generic trends in cloud as well as certain few trends in telecom domain, because I think there are certain telecom domain still it's in nascent phase, still evolving, and which has a huge opportunity as we move forward. Then, while good, you understood cloud computing, you understood benefits, let's say, and what are the trends, you know it. But why should you learn in the first place? Whether you're a student or a professional, if you're already working in some organization, either doing a software engineering or application development, why should you learn? What are the advantages that gives you? Which means what are the different career prospects you might get it, right? What kind of jobs are there? What kind of roles are there? Which companies might be hiring? How do you prepare for that? I think those things will learn and how to start and learn cloud journey, skill development kind of thing. I think my introduction, Michael gave, I'll skip this. So yeah, what is cloud computing, right? We'll talk about this slide in specific, right? So primarily cloud computing is delivering computing services. What are they, right? Someone needs servers, someone needs database to store some information, or some companies need networking, or as an end user, right? I might need a software as application, right? I want to use a Gmail or an email or photos, right? Or some company wants to do analytics. Okay, how is my organization performing over a period of time, right? Or intelligence. Overall, serving all these services, computing services over internet, that is cloud computing. So let's say if the cloud is not there, right? What an organization has to do, they have to set up all these things on their own, infrastructure, maintenance, what it could be, right? So overall, getting these services over internet via browser without even worrying about backend complexity altogether is cloud computing in a simple terminology, right? Okay, what does it give a benefit for you, right? It gives faster innovation, so that let's say if I'm a startup company, right? In my introduction, it was talk to school, right? Though I have an idea, should I focus on its servers? Should I focus on database structuring? Should I focus on software building? Should I focus on networking? Versus should I focus on business or agility, innovation, right? I think cloud provides a lot of faster innovation, flexible resources, and economies for scale. Like I'll give an analogy, right? I think if you guys see, we have power supply at our home, right? We get all the power supply, right? Does every company produce power? It could be big companies, or does every metropolitan city produce power? No, right? Power is generated by specific companies, which are power sources. Handful of companies are there within India or across globe, and they generate enough power. They pass it on to end users in a subscription model. Every month pay this one, right? So we are using power, that is electricity, as a utility, right? It's exactly the same concept here. Companies like Amazon, AWS, Google, GCP, Azure, Microsoft, they have built these infrastructures which help them to scale their businesses, and they have enough pool where they are giving these utilities for end users. End user could be either individuals, startup people, or it could be big enterprise altogether, right? So think of like always compare cloud to your uh, electricity as utility. So cloud is a utility for anyone who wants to use these services, a click of button, without even worrying about any technology, what's the back and all those things. So it provides fast innovation, all those things, right? And there are different layers of cloud computing. I'll not deep dive into that, but I think I covered, right? IaaS, infrastructure as service. Okay, I don't want to get anything. I want just servers, bare metals like computers, set of computers. I want to install something. How can I get it? Earlier, if you guys, I think most of the guys might not know, right? 10 years back, when I used to work as an architect in my old organizations, when we need to launch a product, we need to give a overall request for fulfillment for infrastructure. Oh, I need 10 servers in production of 100 GB RAM or one terabyte of hard space, and this much is network capacity. We need to give almost 6 months in advance, so that network team, security team goes and buys those things, assembles those things, get it, right? That used to take more than 6 months of lead time for us. But nowadays with the cloud, I can go and click, choose what I want, and get that infrastructure and build on top of it. That is infrastructure as a service. Then PaaS, platform as a service. Okay, infrastructure is bare metal. On top of that, there's a platform like, okay, I don't want to install Linux on top of that. I don't want to install Windows on top of that. I want to use the platform capabilities, right? Like Docker or anything, right? Which platform, it has a lot of capabilities, more than infrastructure. That's platform as a service. Then SaaS, service as a service. System as a service as a service, which is like Gmail, right? You're getting a service, like mail service, without even worrying about what is inside, like photos, Gmail, or you can think about any other services which you can think which you use for your business benefit. I think those are the layers of computer, cloud computing. Then we have seen cloud computing, right? Then why is cloud computing growing in the first place? So cloud computing, it primarily reduces capital expenses. Let's say if as an entrepreneur or as a company, if I need to build all those infrastructure, I need to purchase the infrastructure, I need to purchase the networking, all the things, and then invest into that to make this complete raw infrastructure to make it working with the LAN, all those things, plus servers with configurations, installations, all those things, right? So capital cost is much, much higher when any organization, individuals builds their own infrastructure, right? It reduces capital infrastructure. At the same time, okay, fine. I spent 3 months of capital and then install all the things, but it has to be maintained, right? Because nothing infrastructure will change. Some issues might happen, or software might be upgraded. There can be viruses, right? It need to be maintained, operational, right? So operational cost will be recurring assets. So organizations, how can they reduce costing from capital expenses? That is one-time investment. It is operational cost, recurring operational cost, maintenance cost. So it will save all those things. At the same time, if you see business innovation, should they worry about infrastructure? Should they worry about configurations versus what is their goal? They should go and invest and they should give business value to the end users. So that's what it's providing cloud with infra and technology together without even worrying about it. And one of the other key important thing is agile and fast response to market conditions and consumer demands improve security. I'll pause a moment on this, right? If you guys observe 2 years back when we had the pandemic, Corona, right? How quickly organizations shifted from office working to work from home, right? Within a week's time, most of the organizations were able to enable all their employees to work from home. How did it possible in the first place? If the cloud was not there, small companies or medium scale companies who were not invested into lot infrastructure, it would have been impossible for them to enable their employees to work from home. Cloud made that so much easiness. The reason I'm picking that example is pandemic came without any notice, right? So market conditions changed, environment changed, customer demand changed, employees demands changed. Suddenly, how can they adapt to agile and fast response? So cloud provides that feature. So that's one example, right? As a business owner, you might have a lot of things. They might have a lot of things. How can they quickly ramp up? Let's say a company is having 1,000 users on their website, but suddenly their organization has a lot of demand. Their website has a lot of demand. If they are managing their own website, scalability would be an issue. Suddenly, people are a lot of lakhs of people are coming to the website. But cloud can provide opportunities where nothing to worry. As number of users are coming more, infrastructure will scale. No need to worry. You focus on the business. It's a lovely thing to have. See, right? Without even worrying about whether my infrastructure will work or not, whether my website will go down or not, whether my order placement will happen or not, whether my operational my infrastructure will able to handle or not. Ignoring all those concerns to the cloud, focusing on business, it will provide that. At the same time, improved security, right? You guys would have seen a lot of news around security hacking across major companies, right? Within cloud or outside cloud, right? But does every organization, whether it's small organization or big organization, do they have skills, potential knowledge to manage security, withstand the hackers? No, right? Not everybody is expert in security. Can they invest? No, right? So cloud provides these things because cloud providers are making those security solutions into cloud from design standpoint itself. Given it could be all the three companies which are major or any companies, they're experts in security management, they're experts in cloud. So they are making the solution to security. So all these things are making cloud to grow as quickly as possible as global. I've given some stats here, right? You see, by next year, end user spending, that is end users like us, not the enterprises, on cloud, it is about to reach $600 billion as per Gartner. So which is a huge amount, which means you understand how much growth next year cloud is going to see. At the same time, if you see overall revenue across cloud, all the sectors, one of the report published by Grand View Research, we will talk about that in upcoming thing, is $1.6 trillion of revenue, which is mammoth, All right, I think those are the reasons why cloud is growing, because it's giving a lot of enabling features, easiness. Okay, we have seen why cloud growing, what is cloud, how is it different compared to traditional computing services. But okay, cloud has been there from several years till now, right? It's been almost 8+9+ years kind of thing. Cloud has been there. It's been evolving. Are there still trends happening, or will it die? Or did we achieve a plateau of momentum? Not necessarily. I think cloud is just in the incremental phase. If you think a sine curve, right? A curve going up, it hasn't reached any top at all. It is still growing field itself. Some of the trending things in cloud computing, I have listed very few, which are top, which I am really passionate about and looking forward to it, which could change potential scope of business to great extent are here. AI and ML services, right? AI and ML has been this emerging field from last few years, but can every company build AI ML capacity? No, right? For building AI ML capacity, it needs skills on mathematics, infrastructure, modeling. At the same time, it needs a lot of infrastructure to train the models, to test them, all those things. So what cloud services or cloud companies are providing is, they're providing AI and ML as a service to the end users. Hey, here is the service, you can use it. For example, right? Alexa kind of service, or you scan an image, it will read from the image, it will get the text. That's the ML, right? It has trained it. Or the photo service, you give a photo, it will identify, oh, what is the image, where it's taken, or what are the things which are there in the image. So it is fine-tuning the end users' benefits, and those kind of things are coming. At the same time, there's a lot of growth in edge computing. I think edge computing is one of the key things for telecommunications. Given there are a lot of IoT devices are being handled coming up, we'll see that in the next slide. But growth of edge computing, because a lot of interconnected devices are there overall, because of that, how does these devices talk to each other with scale of volume, all those things, the edge computing is growing a lot. And at the same time, as the overall volume is growing up, you can't expect the latency or performance down, right? How can you maintain those everything together? Is one of the thing which is going. And I'm pretty sure you guys would have seen for last 2 years, Netflix, uh, either Amazon Prime, they have grown so much demand, and still they're able to manage their user base and performance scalability. Behind that's because behind the scene of Netflix or these things, cloud is pioneering that, because bandwidth required for those things are much higher. So something similar to that in the upcoming years, there is already a trend which is being talked, discussed across technology forums, where cloud gaming as such. For cloud gaming, no one needs anything, being a browser, play in the cloud, but it needs a lot of infrastructure, high bandwidth. But still, there are a lot of places within India or rural areas where there is no proper network. With 5G coming up, we are expecting, our industry is expecting that gap to be reduced. But instead of with 5G, it will not solve everything, right? How can the servers manage that exchange of information, high bandwidth, all those things will come into the picture. So there is one thing. And okay, fine. It's providing a lot of information, right? Still, someone has to write code to build a web application, website, or a mobile application, right? If you guys observed recently, right, or for last few years, 2-3 years back from onwards, there is a lot of trend going on low code and no code platforms or services. Okay, I don't want to invest in writing code or manage a set of team engineers to write code, to develop a mobile application, to develop a website. So that's where the trend is shifting. Cloud providers are providing their services so that end users, business users can drag and drop using low code or no code platforms to build business applications. I think this will see a lot of trend. That's the reason. This is one of the reasons why small companies or entrepreneurs who are not even techies are able to build websites, mobile applications, and launch their innovations and go into market. I think that's one of the things which will change a lot. Having said this, the bottom pillar, right? Increased focus on security and resilience. Given so much focus is going on, so much people are using, security focus will still continue, and resilience, right? Resilience means instead of so much demand, instead of so many people are using it, so much growth, how can the services be resilient without any disruptions, such that every time, every place, when you ask something, it is given to the end user. I think that's what the resilience means. So that focus will still continue, given the security vulnerabilities are still there. People are trying to target the markets, always trying to exploit. So that is one of the focus area for cloud for sure next year and onwards, even this year as well. Right? Yeah. We have seen trends in cloud computing, right? Now let's specifically see some of the trends in telecom industry primarily. Telecom industry needs a lot of new experiences, innovation, right? Think of this, right? Currently we are on Zoom call, right? For Zoom call to be done, we need internet. Who is providing internet for us? Airtel, Jio, or someone else, right? And those are communication providers or telecom providers, right? We call them, right? Not only that, right? Earlier, before this innovation internet came, telecom industry used to offer their services to home or business only. But the focus has changed in the last few years. I'm not at home. I'm moving around. I'm traveling. I'm going on a flight, or I'm going on a bus, going on a train. Still, I need my connectivity. There's a shift change from customers, right? That means they should be able to change their thought process from effectively helping their customers from business model. So they need to think about new experiences. What can they innovate? While they focus on that, they can't focus on their infrastructure, right? And their infrastructure could be very age old. So the three focuses that cloud computing, telecom industry is doing these days from last 2-3 years or earlier to that is they're focusing on three. One is how can they make their operational innovation so that how can they get more insights during their operations so that the operational burden plus connectivity to the end user is much easy. For that, they are using a lot of analytics inside to get it, plus a lot of signals from the overall infrastructure, which could go wrong, all those things. Then the revenue model innovation, right? I think we just spoke about revenue model innovation, like, okay, there is a high competition within the cloud telecom industry, right? How can they get into revenue, improve their revenue model innovation? If they need to just focus on infrastructure, they can't focus on that. And the business model innovation, the three things are happening. And everybody would have heard smart cities, right? Smart cities are the cities where everything and anything within that city is connected internally, right? Within the home, computer, laptop, TV, fan, lights, plus complete home is connected to nearby hub. When we talk about smart cities, that means these are all IoT devices. Understand, right? Earlier, people used to have only one mobile, but these days, one person is having more than one mobile, office, personal, business, and within a house, there are at least each person is having one mobile, one laptop, one TV. See how many devices are increasing, right? When we talk about smart cities, number of devices are too heavy, right? So that's the reason if you see there, the projection by 2025 by one of the report, 30 billion estimated IoT devices will come into the picture by that time, 2025, in smart cities. To manage those things, telecom service providers has to depend on cloud to take the advantage and move forward. Otherwise, they can't scale, they can't support that. At the same time, 5G network functions are providing cloud native way of doing the functioning, right? So, people who are from electronics telecom domain understands that, okay, all these telecom domains have their own network and they work on these functions, right? Network functions. How can they route calls? How can they do all this telecommunication routing, all these things, right? And there's a big hurdle for this telecom domain to visualize that without even installations first. What kind of installation I need? What kind of issues I may foresee? What kind of scale I need? Unless they install first and figure it out, they never used to get it. But now with 5G and cloud, there is software network functioning, cloud native way, where they can simulate that in advance and see out and figure out, okay, this is what I need to prepare for it. Come out from hardware standpoint to network, cloud network, and then that's what will improve a lot. And this side, if you see how is telecom domain is growing, right? Market size is supposed to surpass by 2030 $105.7 US. I think that's one of the research which was published by President's Research. So overall, okay, we spoke about what are the innovations, what they can do, all those things, but there are still barriers even as of today. As a telecom provider, what they are thinking is, okay, cloud computing is great. It has proved for IT, it has proved for healthcare, it has proved for education systems, but can it work for telecom as well? The reason why they are having those doubts are because telecom providers have been having their infrastructure which is very legacy. They came from analog to digital, and within the digital also, their infrastructure is very old, and they never usually telecom industry never upgrades so frequently compared to software IT, right? Because it involves a lot of effort, revenue, I mean capital plus lot of years it will take, because it has to be done across multiple their locations, hubs, all those things. So there is always a challenge of compatibility issues with legacy infrastructure with apps which they are forcing and cloud. That's one of the challenge which cloud computing providers plus telecom is working towards resolving this. And other thing is regulatory concerns, right? Telecom is always in the radar of regulations, right? Either it could be TRAI in India or outside some other regulatory body or overall state or country government. The reason why need to worry is they'll have a lot of information about a client like us who are talking over the phone, who are having their sensitive information being discussed or their personal communication. How can this cloud make sure that telecom providers still maintain the regulatory compliances? That's one thing, right? Second thing, security concerns. I think both go hand in hand. Security concern, okay, as an end user, I'm still worried. Okay, if let's say some telecom company goes to cloud, will they host my information on some other country which is totally outside of India? If some that gets hacked, what will happen? I think these are the major barriers which cloud companies are still thinking or working with cloud providers, telecom providers together to resolve it, right? But at the bottom line, scalability of cloud, flexibility, switch on, switch off, move, take whatever it is, lower costs because you are not investing in capital, maintenance is not there, and fault tolerance, right? And high performance is giving agility, move faster, and which is helping the telecom industry to build innovation at a faster pace. Otherwise, what are the experience what we are getting now wouldn't have been possible in the first place. It would have taken another 10 years or much large time. Okay, let's move to next. Okay, I think we spoke about cloud computing, what trends, benefits, plus trends in telecom as well as all things, right? Now I think we are going to okay, that's cloud computing, right? Okay, what is in it for me? You might think, right? Whether you could be a student, you could be a professional already working on an organization, or you might be having your own startup as an individual contributor, what it is, right? So here is the stats I want you to guys look into it. Right? As per NASCOM report, which is titled Cloud Skills Powering India's Digital DNA. You guys would have heard it, Digital India, Digital DNA. As per that report, NASCOM, India will need 20 lakh cloud professionals by 2025, which is next 3 years, right? But as of today, you guys go and check Google, we are at 14 or less than 14 lakhs professionals, less than that. Which means there is a huge gap of professionals which are required. I think, sorry, even after 2000, as per current projection, the trend which we are happening, we are about to reach 14 lakhs only. While there's demand for 20 lakhs, it's about to be 14 lakhs only. That means there is still gap of around 5 lakhs or 6 lakhs of professionals is there, which means there is a huge potential growing demand for cloud professionals going forward. And it is a future-proof career because it is in the emerging trends, and the skills what cloud computing provides are transferable across any industry. Once you have cloud computing skills, You can work in telecom industry, you can work in health industry, you can work in this, but the skills are same more or less. And it pays really well. I think we'll talk about that, what the pay looks like, which roles have pays, all those things. It pays well. And it's a versatile skill. As I was mentioning, you can just shift across multiple things. It's a versatile skill. I'll just give a comparison, right? Let's say if you are a software professional who is joining a company as a software engineer, probably you might be having Python, you might be having C++, Java, and you may be developer, right? Great, that's great, right? Those are fundamentals, which is great. But along with that, if you can focus learning cloud, the amount of growth that you might get in next 2 years in your company would be tremendous, or you might get a good opportunity outside of other company, new organization, because as you move forward, less and less this coding skills are important versus understanding this cloud is important. And software professionals or any professional is just not writing code. It's much more than that. Cloud provides all that 360-degree view of, okay, what does it mean to build a service, build a software, build a computer application, and how to manage it, how to deploy it, what are the best principles. Cloud computing is the best place to learn all those things. At the same time, it has potential roles for technical developers, architects, manager, engineering manager kind of thing, what it is, plus non-technical roles. Let's say if someone is not even into computer science, IT background, but they are good in marketing, they're good in sales, right? Or they're good in thinking about product thinking, or getting something insights around how can these 2-3 things can work to build a good product. Even for those project management skills, cloud has much scope there. All right, let's move on. Okay, so I'll pause here. I'll spend good amount of time here because there are a lot of things which are there here, and this is not the complete final set of list for sure, but I think I'm trying to project more or less lot of majority of the roles, and the role name could change from company to company, profile to profile, but I think these are the bucket of roles which it fits in, right? If you see cloud roles, technical, non-technical, right? Technical, cloud architect. You can think of cloud architect is someone who is like who can design and implement company's cloud strategy. Let's say there's a company which wants to go from non-cloud, where they have their own on-premises, or the first time they want to move to cloud, or the first time they're evolving into business. These architects provide a roadmap and strategy, how to go into which cloud, and same time which cloud provider is right, whether AWS is right, whether GCP is right, whether Azure is right, or whether something is right. They will think about that. So these guys, primarily these roles, ensure everything stays on track on the budget, company's vision from technical standpoint, business standpoint, are they meeting or not? Are they going smooth or not? So that is the architect. Primarily, he is an architect, or they are an architect for enabling their business to go into cloud. Think about it. Let's say if we need to build our house, right? We need an architect, right? First, architect is the first person who will say, okay, this is the structure looks like, these are things which you need to use it. Here is a cost it might happen, overall, all the similar, more or less similar to that. You can analyze it. I think if you see here, the way from top to bottom, you can think of these as descending order of payment or salaries, what they get. The topmost cloud architects are the topmost paying compared to anyone else. Then comes data engineers. Certain companies call them as data scientists or data engineers. What do they do, right? Data, I think. So primarily, without cloud also these roles are there. But when you attach cloud, their role changes a lot extent. So without cloud, architect has to have experience on a lot of technology around implementation or figuring it out. Oh, they need to do a lot of exploration around, does this software is right for me or not? Does this design pattern is right for me or not? Of course, they need to do in cloud as well, but cloud will simplify a lot of things because cloud implicitly has implemented all those best practices, design practices. They need to just pick from very few in the first place, similar to data engineer as well. If it is outside of cloud, data engineer has to build a lot of ML, or they need to build a lot of analytics tools, or get a lot of multiple tools to work together. But when you go to cloud, there are already tools which work very smooth to get extent, or work with 2-3 tools to get understand data and build business reports, or help building the pipelines which are required there. So these guys, primarily cloud data scientists or data engineers, develop organization systems so that massive amount of volumes which are widely there across the organization, which are coming from different sources into the cloud infrastructure, how can they get the data into more effective way so that they can get best visible insights so that their CIOs, CXOs can take best decisions. That's what they do in general. Organize their data in a seamless and right fashion so that get the insights more. Then cloud engineers, I think this is one of the thing which is going everywhere. People want cloud engineers. It's a cloud engineer is responsible for managing aspects of company cloud strategies. Okay, cloud architect define the strategy. Okay, here is the strategy. We will go to this cloud. Here is the way path will decide. This is the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 will implement these things. To implement those strategies, what cloud architect laid out, along with the cloud architect, cloud engineers work together to make those strategies into implementation, right? So they work along with architects to ensure the strategy is implemented. I'm not going deep there because I'm just giving the at least highlight information, different roles, what is there. An engineer, cloud engineer could work with different services which are there. If someone is working on only infrastructure, cloud engineer, they might work on building multiple Linux machines to scale for their system, or they might work on Kubernetes kind of thing. They might work on Docker. They may build an application kind of thing. Overall, their role is to implement the strategy which is laid out by architect. Some senior cloud engineers are also cloud architects. Depends on company to company. Our running with time 7:40. Okay. So the other few more things like cloud consultant, sales specialist. I think sales fall into technical as well as non-technical role, both. Sales specialist is someone who is having technical knowledge, but not so much extensive or deep as engineers or architect, but they should be able to address and answer questions around cloud and their infrastructure or their services when they're discussing with their business partners or clients. We can call them consultants, sales specialists, where they say, oh, here is a business, probably this system, this cloud is right for you. And here is a way you can go in it. So they primarily get the business, or before go start tech, these guys deep dive more on those. Then next is DevOps engineer, where, okay, development happened, strategy happened, but how do they make this complete installations, infrastructure development into operational efficiencies more, right? So it is like your continuous integration pipelines, continuous deployments, or cloud provides multiple options. You can log into cloud websites, web page and do it manually, or it provides scripting where you can automate all the infrastructure setup, all those things, plus application development, deployment, all those things. DevOps engineers mainly focus on automating these deployment life cycles, CI/CD pipelines, or infrastructure as code. So every time someone need not go and click it. If something goes down, how can the other thing come up? Scalability kind of thing. DevOps really takes care of those things in the cloud environment primarily. And then the other thing is cloud security specialist. Given cloud is available for us, the end users, but it has to be deployed and architected in a security intensive way, so that right set of principles are applied, right set of permissions are given, right set of roles are given. Not everybody is having super admin user. Not everybody is having write access. Not everybody is having read access. So there are a lot of security aspects going into the picture. So security specialists primarily responsible for ensuring the integrity and security of the company in line with their company policies and applying those in the cloud as such. So they do a lot of auditing against threats, security threats, or defend against the security threats which are happening to their cloud environment. While cloud providers provide all these things, tools, but it has to be implemented for their organizations, because each organization might have their own security principles or policies as such, right? And if they identify any breaches, how can they recover from the breaches? How can they protect security data? And their goal is to eliminate the security gaps overall and reduce the security gaps so that breach occurs in the first place. If breach occurs, how can they protect it and save the business downtime or overall impact to the end user, not losing credentials, any information, all those things. So security space, this is one of the hottest market within the cloud as well as outside the cloud itself, security. And there will be always demand for security specialist, and it's one of the very niche and very deep skill which people needs a lot of focus, understand the fundamentals of technology, computer, how it works, different exchange information, how they work, all those things. They need to be expert in that. The next one is support engineer. Okay, we have deployed, developed everything, right? There has to be someone who maintain it, right? Something goes wrong or not, someone to monitor it, all those things. So those are support engineers who usually work with their business partners, everyone, all those things to make sure it is supported 24/7, all those things. Their roles for support engineers as well, right? Then the administrators. Okay, let's say I'll give a class analogy, right? Okay, we get MacBook or we get a Windows machine laptop, right? Or we have Windows server, let's say. Can everybody go and install Windows in the right way, with right security, right infrastructure, right patterns, all those things? Not necessarily, right? Not everybody, being an engineer, they need not know the administration capabilities of a given software or a given Linux or given network also, right? So there is a demand for administrators. It could be database administrators, it could be network administrators, it could be overall application administrators, anything you can think of, right? They primarily develop, enforce policies. They say, okay, these are the standards which we need to apply for managing these servers, all those things. And they take care of that. And they day to day, they'll update it, they find out, okay, are there any patches to be updated? We need to upgrade, all those things. They'll take care of those things. So that's about technical roles. Coming to non-technical roles, I think these non-technical roles are primarily for anyone who is not technically sound, but still, if someone is technically very good, they can also go into these non-technical roles, like product managers, right? Who is product manager, right? If you see, let's say if I need to build a mobile application for a business, right? Product managers will define how the product should look like, what's the strategy, how the product should look like, what different flows should be there, what kind of value does the product provide to the end users. They are the product managers. Then coming to cloud, how do they do it? Okay, our business vision is this one. What kind of tools which we need to use or services which cloud providers are providing, which will go in line with our business strategy and merge here. So that's the strategy which product managers will provide. So those kind of roles are also available. Sales executives, where like sales managers, who is not really technical, but they go and take the presentations from engineering teams or sales specialists and then go and execute, go to the different companies, or it's like marketing team primarily. More than marketing, after marketing, executives who will go and convey or discuss and close the deals with sales, clients about why they should purchase, what's the business value, what's the impact going to the cloud will provide all those things. For this, having more community skills, closing skills, ability to talk to people in a right way, convince them with right data points is important. In the cloud program manager, right? When a company is moving from non-cloud to cloud, it is a massive exercise where small companies are becoming it. And not just one team will look at. Of course, for startups, it can be 5, 6 people, they'll start with it. We might not see so many roles in startups. But in bigger organizations where they are moving towards cloud, all the operations can't be done with one team, right? There will be multiple teams, hundreds of teams or tens of teams, 2-digit teams kind of thing, where they'll have it. There'll be a lot of programs being run. Okay, we need to get infrastructure, one program. We need to get security, another program. We need to get application, another program. Multiple programs will be running from business standpoint or milestone standpoint. There is a need for project and program managers who will oversee all these things within the cloud with the cloud knowledge, whether these guys are going on pace or they unblock themselves, helping the teams. I think these are the non-technical roles which are available. There are other roles, other cloud leaders who are leading the organizations with cloud capabilities. They don't know anything, but they understand the impact of cloud, what the vision of cloud organization. Multiple roles are there, but I think overall these are the roles which are there. And if you guys, I think I would highly recommend you to go into individual cloud providers, see for each of these roles, there is specialist learning skills kind of thing are there in the market. Okay, let's move to next. Great. I think probably this is the last slide where we'll talk about technically around how can you start journey, right? So here coming to this, right? Overall. Okay, good. Cloud is exciting. There is a good focus. How to start, right? Okay, before I go to this, how did I was transformed myself from non-cloud to cloud? I think this is a story from almost 7+ or 8 years back, where I was about to start cloud journey, which was evolving from AWS standard at the moment. Lot of services which you guys know were not even there. When I started, only EC2, elastic containers were there. I think that's one of the only service, and load balancers. I think only 2 services were there in starting. And other than that, there are no services as such. So during that period, how did I start? I think those are principles which I am trying to mention here. Primarily, I was researching whether cloud will have good future or not. What are the other providers in the cloud? How are the markets? Why use all this? Whatever discussed. So primarily, the first step is do your research. Figure out which, because there are multiple clouds, right? You have AWS, you have GCP, you have Azure, you have IBM's, you have lot, Alibaba cloud, lot of things, right? And each cloud has the way of working is different. Their focus is different. From the way their focus on technology is different. Let's say if someone is really good in Microsoft technology, they have been working, for example, they are good in C#, C++, or they are good in Windows technology. Should they focus completely outside of the Windows technology to something else versus should they focus on Azure only? I think those kind of research as an individual you have to do it, right? What does passionate you? What is important for you? Or at the same time, whether you want to be developer, whether you want to go into security, whether you want DevOps, whether you want to be a support role, but someone who hasn't done any development. First, probably they might need to, they should start as a support engineer first, learn the basics, learn improvement, and then move to developer roles, and from there to architect roles. For example, someone who has done their MBA in some finance or something, right? They want to go to IT industry, for example, right? They should look into, okay, can they go into sales first, understand sales, work there for a few years, get big, good amount of sales, then go to program manager, then go into architects. I think overall, you should research yourself with the available resources and where you want to be. And that's first thing. Second thing is use online resources. When I say online resources, companies, cloud providers themselves provide a lot of online resources. Whether you go to Google Cloud, there is a lot of education provided from Google Cloud itself, Amazon as well, Azure as well, right? Use online resources, and there are a lot of blogging or people put on videos in YouTube kind of thing. But there's massive amount of information. Don't just get lost in the information which is there. Pick right things which can help you, and from reputable resources, right? Use them as such. Then get into training program, probably do some training programs, either virtually or in physical, where you can get the experience of training. How does cloud program, doing some practical things around that. While you all do all those things, hands-on is a paramount for anyone, right? Whether you're a salesperson, you'll be able to understand as a sales pitch to someone with the hands-on experience. That means you should be able to explicitly define why someone should use this cloud for their business use case. Unless you do hands-on, if you're a developer, you should be practicing developing in cloud in a given specific technology, whatever it is. And if you can get certified in cloud, like if you do cloud introduction certifications like associate architect or any other architect, it will be helpful, for example. And there are a lot of high level or specific domains or specific subjects there, but that's the way I'll recommend. But along with all these things, stay up to date with the industry, be in touch, be in the community of cloud, understand what's happening. Having said this, the fundamentals are more important. Programming, computer, communication skills, interpersonal skills, having domain knowledge. Let's say if you are already in electronics, telecommunication, see if you can go into telecommunication along with cloud. I think that's what I would say. 1 minute. If someone had any questions or someone raised hand, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I think Mehul, how are you doing on time?
Yeah, Naveen, it's pretty much good. Please carry on, no issues.
Yeah, cool. Cool. I think that's where I would say. I think one of the other thing is go and visit individual cloud providers. They have their own free sessions. Usually they provide basics, plus they have good amount of documentation. For example, if you are fascinated about, hey, how is cloud helping health industry? For example, someone is having, go and research in there. They'll have use cases as well. They'll give use cases how GCP is helping healthcare industry to go on to next level, or how GCP is helping their telecommunication providers to make more revenue. You'll find every information. Trustworthy information, you should go and check it and figure out someone who can help you to navigate this journey is more important. Plus, at the same time, learning is more important. Just not watching videos, but doing the hands-on. See, a lot of people come to me or usually comes in, hey, I'm a certified architect in AWS GCP. But when I talking about them about some technology around GCP, hey, how did you do this for this specific case? What kind of services you use? Lot of folks, not everyone, but lot of folks don't even talk about how they can implement that. So people getting certification is different versus getting knowledge is different. Having certification alone will not give anyone a good job or sustain a job. Having not certification plus that experience is more important. Get the insights. I think mix those things, you will get good package, good company. There's no limit or there is no shortage of jobs. Go and search. Companies are looking for experts. Literally, they are looking for experts. I'm telling you, right? Literally, they are looking for experts. And it will take time to get anything which is good. You can get something which is very less very quickly, but to get it will take time. You need to do hard work. Anyone has to do hard work, learn, and project in the right way. Right? I think that's what I think. Given the time, let's move on. Yeah, I think thanks for listening to me till now. I just want to share my own accomplishment, which is coming now. I'll just keep it very quick, not to just take out the session from to something else. So my upcoming book around how to craft an enriching career, whether it's IT or non-IT, graduate or professional, which could help. It's my 17 years of experience I put into this book where I give clear strategies around how to apply interview strategies, all those things. It's coming on December 21st in Amazon. Anyone interested, you can visit naveenindrapu.com/book and register yourself for book launch. Soon I'll be publishing, sharing the some benefits or goodies for someone who is first initial buyers kind of thing. But it will help anyone who is looking for fast track their career. Yeah, I think that's about me. Thank you so much. Appreciate everyone taking time on a Saturday, 7 o'clock. I think which means you guys want to achieve and get into something which is great. Not everybody can do this. The reason I'm saying this is I know people who take bold step to attend these sessions has passion to do something. I think continue their passion, learn. Everyone, I mean, there is a lot of plenty of opportunities. Thank you. I'll move on to next slide. Yeah, thanks everyone. If any questions, I think we can take forward.
Great. Thanks a lot, Naveen, for sharing insights on, cloud computing. And also, it was a really insightful session for all of us, right? And definitely we'll go through your book, right? That's really, good to see, 17 years of your journey. And now, yes, we have basically, gotten a couple of questions, right? But before we, take up some questions, I would like Sanjay to pitch in, if any, thoughts Sanjay wants to, share with our audience. So, hey, Sanjay, are
Yeah,
you there? Are you
yeah.
there?
Thanks, Mehul. I hope you are able to hear me. Yep. Can you?
Yes, yes, Sanjay.
Okay, so Naveen, thank you very much for the wonderful session. And before we go with the questions from the participants, I, being a telecom person, right, so I have some curiosity around cloud. So we see that there are two different type of consumers for the cloud, right? The one type of consumers which are typically consuming the applications or the services, I'll say, which is relevant for any industry what we can talk about. But then there is another type of consumers in the cloud which is more on the infrastructure side of it, and IT being the first one to consume this cloud infrastructure. And the telecom is the newest one, right? Because earlier all the telecom networks were deployed. They were all deployed by using purpose-built hardware, and now most of those networks are moving towards cloud and cloud native kind of environments. So just wanted to understand from you, how relevant you talked about it, but how the telecom engineer should pitch in and start learning cloud and start building their capabilities that will help me and many participants who come from the telecom background to understand how they can start their cloud learning journey, especially if they are working in telecom industry.
Sure. I think I think in the slide number where we were talking about cloud computing in telecom, right? We were just talking, right? So telecom industry is still evolving, as you also mentioned, Sanjay. Overall, what I would say is fundamentals doesn't change, right? Primarily, telecom industry is about infrastructure, networking, right? So in your telecom domain learning, you'll learn about how does networking work altogether for a given telecom industry. How does calls happen altogether? How does telecom industry providers make their infrastructure available overall? How can they come up with a new infrastructure, new altogether, a given division altogether, right? And what efforts goes into that? So you guys studying telecom electronics have understanding around that, right? But when it comes to software, this one cloud side, so primarily CSPs, right, can transform their internal IT and data operations using two ways. One is primarily they can come up with software design defined networking, right? Before cloud, there is no hardware defined networking as such. That means, as I mentioned also, right, they will define the network on their on-premises or their infrastructure or the networking zones, and then figure out how it should look like. But it has long time to go and fix the issues, project all those things, right? Plus, there's the other thing around network function virtualizations, which are crucial for CSPs, right? I think these are the two things which are enabling telecom industry to go towards it. But how does you as a student whose telecom domain can learn is fundamentals doesn't change. First, if you are starting cloud journey, whether telecom industry, whether non-telecom industry, understand what is cloud computing, what different roles are there, what are different technologies are there, how are things, and then if you want to go deep, right, telecom industry people can go into networking side of telecom, not just application side of telecom, right? Because telecom industry folks will work on how can they make more networking operationalizations, efficiencies, all right? How can they configure networks in software, cloud as well as their on-premises is one person. Right? The other thing is telecom industry also need to have a lot of data exchange, right, between their infrastructure, age-old infrastructure plus onto cloud plus onto the data users, right? That means there's a lot of data exchange which happens across their network as well as cloud as well as users, right? And I think I would say focus on those. Okay, how is this so much of data? You see, when we do VoIP call, when we do Zoom call, right? Or when we do any video calls, or when we do any normal call, how our telecom industries are able to provide so much of scalability, so much of network bandwidth so easily? How is cloud providing it? So if you start questioning those things, when you learn, your learnings will trajectory increase, and you will not focus into something else which IT industry is focusing. Let's say I'll give example, right? Let's say if there is a software engineer who is on software industry, who is going to CSE is studying, he will not focus on these things because he'll focus on how can I use IT, that is cloud, to build applications. How can I build mobile application? How can I make database more scalable? But when it comes to IT, the telecom folks or electronics folks or any other folks who are computer science. There is an overlap. Don't mind that I'm saying both are not completely different. There's always overlap because you are working with an interface which is behind by computer systems, but majority you'll focus on, okay, how should my network topology should look like in the first place. You'll focus on those things. What kind of scalability requirements my network topology? How should be TCP/IP should work in the first place? What kind of communication I should work in the first place, right? There can be TCP communication, there could be UDP communication, right? There could be VoIP communication. These kind of basic networking technology, you'll focus more on that. When it comes to IT industries, then some folks who are architects has to focus on these things. But even if there's an architect, there is an architect from network standpoint who will primarily lay out. This architecture has to be really applicable for this complete network, the telecommunication or communication CSP providers, whomsoever it is. So overall, apply your learnings from your college or your studies or your core domain. That's the reason I said, if your core domain, mix and match with cloud will give you more momentum compared to others, right? So I think I would say that. Any specific questions, Sanjay? If you want to deep dive more.
So thanks for sharing this. I think that answers my question. Mehul, over to you if you have any more questions, or we can allow some participants to ask those questions. Let's take it up.
All right. Great. Thanks, Sanjay and Naveen, for, having this wonderful conversation. But yeah, we do have, a couple of questions asked by participants. So I would like to take those one by one. So one question, is asked by Ramesh. So he's saying that how could I get a job in this cloud computing? I have done BTech in electrical and electronics engineering from NEHU, Shillong. Please suggest me what to do, and from where should I basically, do. I'm very much confused. So please tell me how, where, and when I will get a job.
Okay. I'm not sure if you're already into job, you're working at any company, but in general, if you are electronics background, if you are passionate about electronics and to learn those things, look for those fields, but cloud. But in general, I think as we discussed, how can a student start their journey, right? First, figure out what capabilities you have. Are you good at computer programming? Are you practicing? If you are in a job, what kind of job you are, right? So primarily what I would say, if you are not good at computer programming, right, start learning those computer skills. But before that, get the exposure of cloud. Okay, what kind of service are there in cloud? As we said, right? Infrastructure as service there. PaaS, platform as service there. Then SaaS, I think we'll not talk about that. But in this infrastructure service, are you good at Linux? Do you have skills around Unix? Do you have skills in Windows? Or can you do a mobile development? Think about this, is it? But primarily to learn anything, to start anything, start where you are. Okay, if you are not having any of these skills, for example, right? Let's say you can start working with support engineer role, cloud support engineer role, right? Where you need to just ignore what learnings you have. All you need to have is ability to communicate more efficiently, ability to write mails properly, and ability to analyze systems, support a given system, and then go and look for which market, which cloud provider is having more jobs in those specific roles. If you are looking for support engineer, is AWS has more openings, or GCP has more openings, all those things, right? I think all these companies or cloud providers are competing with each other. There are trends, right? One is market leader now, other people are competing with it. But overall, basics are stale. Services might change. If you learn one cloud provider terminology, within very few weeks or few months, you can always learn new things for sure. So pick one cloud provider, start learning basics of clouding. Okay, what while we discussed at 10,000 foot level here, deep dive little bit more. What services are there? How can you as a first person start the development, right? Okay, basics of cloud computing. There are cloud certifications are there. There are sessions there. Start there and then look for job opportunities. If you are already experienced person, you can apply for developer role. I mean, you may not be getting architect role for sure because it needs a lot of expertise of 10 plus years experience kind of thing or good experience on cloud working. But more than that, while you're learning, start working on the projects. Either it could be your intern projects or you could do your own personal projects. Start learning it. I'll give an example. The way I started or the way I guide everyone, right? For example, you need to build your own mobile application, for example, right? A simple mobile application which is to-do list, right? A mobile application which has two screens. One is login screen, for example. Once you log in, a to-do plus symbol, apply to-dos, then edit button, which says confirm. 3 pages, right? Fine, you develop something. How do you deploy it? If you want to share with your friend, how do you deploy it? Think about that. Can you deploy on your laptop and ask your friend to use it? Yes, it's feasible. Where you to expose your machine into public domain, give them the IP address, it's feasible. But how do you give it to universal people? Everyone, right? Then what are the options? Where do you deploy it? What kind of options are there? Think about it. Okay. How can I use cloud for deploying research? What services are all of it? Right. Okay, you deployed it, you use one server. Now, if your website or mobile application is got traction, now users are increasing it. How can I scale this more? Now you need more than one server. How can I do it? If you need to do it alone, how can I do it? Think about that. It's very difficult because you need to get servers, cluster them, infrastructure, balancing, all those things are there. A lot of computer science fundamentals comes, right? But how can these cloud providers are providing it? Right? Okay, you have multiple servers, you enable in cloud. But at the end, how can you give end users single URL, single website? But it's at the end, they can use all this network load balancing or application load balancing, right? So overall, for anyone to start, right? Start with a problem, learn and question, how can I use this with cloud? What services are there? How can I do it? Questioning those things, right? And start with that. And plenty of things are there to learn, but opportunities is there. I think it needs efforts to go and investigate, take steps to do it, and figure out right person who can guide you, or who can mentor you, or institute who can give you coaching kind of thing. Or there are Coursera, Skill Link also provides a lot of coaching. Lot of things are there, right? As I said, AWS, GCP, everything is providing it. But where you want to start? If you're not good at coding, if you're not passionate about coding, if you want to come to cloud, then choose different path altogether. What is you want to do? Because if you're not happy with coding, if you don't want to do this learning, all those things, if you can't think these things, even if you come to cloud, within 1 or 2 years, you can't scale. You can't grow in your career, right? Growing is important, not just getting a job, right? So think about that. It has full opportunities. If any help we can do, we can talk. But I think I would say that. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Naveen, for sharing the detailed answer. But another question is asked by Manu, asking like, please let me know what type of work will be there in this particular role.
Which role? Support role.
I mean, correct.
Okay. So support role. Okay. Okay.
I mean, support role or any role in cloud computing domain.
Okay. So I think we discussed those roles specifically, right? I would say once this recording is available in YouTube, I would request you to watch it again so that because we gave detailed description of which role does what, right? But given your electronic background plus I think few years or no experience, I'll pick two examples of roles which could be helpful. One is cloud support role. The other could be a developer engineer, cloud engineer role, probably, right? Starting initial roles or administrative role, right? So any role, right? Think about this, right? If you are support role, let's say if there is a organization which has services, it could be laptops, desktops, it could be again multiple applications which are there, which are talking to each other, right? Let's say there is a website and there's a backend system. For example, let's take it. Let's say there is a Amazon website, right? You place an order, you submit the order, all these things, right? What the support engineer in cloud does, even Amazon has deployed their cloud on their AWS, right? Cloud engineers, support engineers primarily look into the monitoring dashboards. Each service will have their own dashboards. Service could be on end user service or infrastructure service. So primarily support engineers will work on infrastructure service, saying that okay, there is 10 servers which are deployed, which are using, which on which the website is deployed, for example. How are they performing altogether? Do they need any extra health checks? Are they going something wrong kind of thing? Do we need to do some patching kind of thing? So support engineer primarily supports the business infrastructure standpoint. Or there could be some other roles within support where AWS might be providing to a lot of customers, right? There are a lot of customers from enterprises, each customer, right? And suddenly, let's say I'm a customer for AWS or GCP, where I'm using their services. Suddenly, I go complain that, hey, this service is not working. My developers are really struggling primarily. How can you help? Then first ticket that goes to is support engineer, where support engineer will go and check the tickets and analyze what is happened to the issue, why this client is facing this issue. It could be technical issue, it could be not technical issue. They'll figure out based on the logs, other things, and then provide a solution based on the available data points, which is playbooks kind of thing. There are written data was there. So primary support engineers provide support to the end user from cloud perspective, cloud provider standpoint. That is cloud support engineer. When it comes to developers will enable to use these different services to make an end user product. In this, certain cases they may not do any coding at all. Certain cases they may do little coding. Certain cases they may do 50% coding compared to normal development. They may do extensive development. Depending on requirement, it will change. But when someone is using cloud developer will try to use a lot of services, orchestrate them. Okay, I have these services, 2-3 services, authentication services there. One more service there. How can I authenticate and make a workflow kind of thing to enable the product? So, I mean, it's a very wide thing to answer, but if based on a specific role, and each when you go into job portals, right, like LinkedIn, Naukri, or any other job role, they'll explicitly mention each role, what is the expected role duties. Go and look into it. They'll clearly mention what I just discussed, right? You need to manage servers, you need to either manage network, you need to just only support calls and figure out what is going wrong, or you need to develop applications with working with architects. So every job description provides all this information. I would highly recommend to get some understanding, go and explore in LinkedIn, 1 or 2 roles across companies, understand those things, write down those things to your notebook, get deep dive into more on that. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Naveen. So, Suresh is asking, like, as a telecom professional, RAN world is changing with ORAN, 5G, and private network coming in. What kind of skills we need to develop?
Yeah, in specific to cloud, I think we just discussed, right? So you being, see, okay, there are 2 ways, right, to look into it, right? Cloud providers are working with Telecom at the moment to get these trends implemented into cloud. One way of looking at it, where there is a potential for experts who are already experts in those specific core electronics as well as this networking plus 5G skills can contribute into the shift. One way of looking at it. So in those, there are a lot of job opportunities where cloud providers themselves are hiring to enable their cloud services in more user-friendly or more telecommunication friendly to make their service. If someone has those skills from networking, from this core standpoint, they can look for jobs in those core niches, core domains as such. So where you guys will be working on those things, how can they get this technology which is upgraded into telecommunication into cloud as such? How can they go in hand in? That's one way of looking at it. Second way, okay, I am not really expert because not everybody might be expert after doing Bachelor of Engineering or Bachelor of Technology. Someone might need to take PhD in those core niches, right? So companies will hire those kind of professionals who are PhDs or MTechs in those electronics or this kind of background in 5G, who have done research, all those things into those areas, where those guys will help cloud providers to make cloud providers job easily so that these guys provide all the functionality in their cloud services. That's one way of looking. Second way is, okay, I'm not expert, but how can I go into this thing, right? Then once that is used, when it comes to using those services which are specific to cloud and uh, uh, MSP, providers, telecom providers, it has to have certain knowledge of your domain as such. Not everybody can go and implement same thing in the telecom domain, right? Even if, let's say, if I'm an IT expert, I have done my electronics background almost 7 years back, right? Given I'm not really deep dive into electronics, can I go and help telecommunication industry the way a telecom industry expert can help? Same thing happens, right? So there is always a scope for understanding and helping those domains. But key thing is getting you need to understand, okay, I have this potential knowledge of my own niche, that is your electronics or this 5G network. How can I go and get into this cloud? What kind of skills I need to match it? You need to think through it. The reason I'm giving this generic answer, not exactly, is technologies are evolving and up to telecommunication is still in nascent phase, both combined together. Companies are partnering. If you see Google, AWS, Azure, they're partnering with big companies in telecom to fine tune, to rearchitect their cloud so that telecom can be operated very easily. So which means not only cloud providers, the telecom providers also has job opportunities where they need partners who can work with cloud companies to get this journey smooth and get this in. So I think explore, I would say. I think I may not be able to provide not long, very detailed ways exactly how can 5G or RAM, all these things help. But I would say talk to right persons who are already working into those domains in specific. It's always right reaching out right person. While I have a lot of experience, all those things, and I can't share a lot of information which is I can't share. But I think this is a way you can go ahead with that. Thanks. I hope that helps to some extent.
Yeah, next question is from Saksham. So he's saying that I have done 3 years diploma in electronics engineering. Can I learn about cloud computing or degree is important or I can start my journey from where I am today.
Yes, you can always start. I think earlier there used to be a notion where to get into IT or to get into any industry, a degree is required. Yes, degree will give an advantage, definitely. But degree will not just doesn't just give any advantage as such. It just gives one addition. But more than degree, a lot of people will look into what is your experience altogether? What kind of learnings you have? What kind of projects you have done on your personal or on your community contributions kind of thing? Have you worked on projects? When there's a what does your resume talk about in the first place for you, right? Yes, you can go into cloud competition, given that you are already done diploma. At least you are in touch with technology. That's great. Key things is you need to learn how to translate your learnings, what you have. If you're already working in some other company, how can you get the experience in this journey into cloud? So as we discussed, explore, go to websites of cloud, start learning about cloud technology, do some hands-on practices. Even all these companies provide free tier for everyone. Free tier. So they say, okay, you can use every month this much of dollars without paying anything, free of cost, so that they will help everyone to understand this technology. And they are also doing because they need professionals who can support them as well. So every cloud provider provides the free without even incurring any cost. You can create an account, go and explore it, do experimentation, exploration, and learn it. And there are skills to learn. I mean, there are courses to learn all those things. But definitely it is feasible. There's no doubt. And I have seen a lot of folks who moved from mechanical background, electrical background, electronics background, complete non-IT backgrounds, like who has done BCA or who has done MBAs. After spending few months, they shifted to cloud. Now they are making good amount of money and they are moving forward. But it doesn't happen over the night. It doesn't happen over the few months. It needs constant effort from you. You need to be passionate, but that journey you need to go through it. There's a lot of information available, but it is feasible. There's no doubt. And experience, learn, and practical. How can you correlate? The way I explained it, when you build it mobile application, how are you visualizing this can happen, right? Start looking into it. And when you get an opportunity or interview anything, right? Key things which people will ask is, fine, you have done this certification, you have done this one. Can you talk about this? Can you talk about these things? How do you deploy it? Yes, it is feasible. There is no question about it. It needs efforts, it needs planning. You need to just go through it. Thank you.
Great. Sure, Naveen. So I think last couple of questions, like 2 or 3 questions, will take up. SK Singh is asking, like, I have 7 years of experience in telecom RAN network operation in GSM, UMTS, LTE, and currently working on 5G NR. So how to switch a job, RAN domain to cloud? From which position I can start in cloud? What skills are required or necessary?
I think you mentioned how many years experience, no? It was mentioned.
7 years of experience.
7 years experience, right? Okay, I think while you ask for cloud in the first place, if you want to shift to cloud generic, then why are you changing from cloud to, I mean, from your telecom domain to cloud? You need to understand, are there lack of opportunities, or you're not able to see growth in that, or you really want to start your career in cloud, even if it is little less in starting, right? So key thing you need to understand, right? Whenever you're changing from domain to domain, well, I'll come to how can you shift from the same telecommunication to cloud with the same skills, what you have transferred skills. But understand why you want to do it. Once, let's say if you have clarity, given 7 years experience you have on cloud, think about which companies already in telecommunication are going to cloud. Start exploring those things. For example, you may think about Airtel, Jio, Vodafone, any company, right? What companies are planning to go to 5G? What companies are going to cloud in upcoming years? I think companies usually publish their strategies, their vision in public. Usually companies say, next 5 years we want to roll out 5G. Next 3 years we want to go to this technology. We are going partnering with AWS or partnering with GCP. Right? So look up for those information in news, then explore what kind of opportunities these guys are providing. And when they put those roadmap, they always open roles for experts, not just cloud, on your domain as well. Right? So once you have that clarity which companies are doing it, then how can your domain, what you gain, the roles what they're opening, are they matching or not? What kind of skills are matching? What kind of experience matching? You need to just explore those things. Right? Once you explore those things, you'll find some gaps as well. Gaps could be primarily not necessarily need not be on your domain skills. Probably you are good at domain. That's good. Along with domain, since they're moving to cloud, they'll say having these domain skills on understanding network, 5G, RAM, all those things. Along with that, we want someone who can translate this into IT and cloud as well. So figure out those things and start filling those gaps of skill learning so that you have full mix of both together. You are good for job. So my session is start exploring those jobs, which companies are there, start exploring jobs, put your skill matrix, your own skill matrix, what jobs are there looking for, compare them, figure out what gaps are there, upskill them. Then I think you will be in much better shape to go for it. Right? And for example, let's say you are already having all the skills which are required, great. Search for those jobs. You'll always get LinkedIn as well. These things will say which all the things. Apply for those things. But while applying it, make sure how your resume is starting. How your resume is relating to the skills, what they're asking, what job, what they're asking. Are they matching or not? Usually, a lot of folks apply, not only juniors or students. Everyone says generic resume. All companies they just distribute it. No, that doesn't work out because every company, every job, people there will be thousands of people. No one looks at it. So how can you project your expertise in the resume, which is matching to your job description? I think those things, if you do it, I'm sure is trying not. I think I see one more question where they're doing a lot of search but not getting it. I think that's the key thing. So your skills, job skills, gaps, fill the gaps and explore it. Put your skills and your expertise appropriately and talk to people who can give you referrals kind of thing. But overall, I think yes, you can shift without losing your domain expertise. And the other question which you ask is at what level you can start, right? If you match a good role, which is matching to 6-7 years experience senior engineering role or senior network engineer role, or certain kind of junior architect also will be there. Given you have a niche of telecommunication domain already working on it, probably you can be an architect for those companies who can architecture their overall topology, how can roadmap for building to cloud, because you have already in premise their topology network experience, their complete infrastructure experience. Then you can start those things without taking hit on your package or your portion. That's one way. If you are not able to match, for example, right, probably you can go into lower level, but that might give you a jump in long term. If you are really looking forward to make a long-term career, think about that. I think you will be the best person to think about it by doing exploration. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, thanks,
Um,
Naveen. That's a wonderful answer. Mahil, just 1 minute. So just to add one point here, I keep on getting these questions, right, saying that we want to switch from telecom to cloud. I normally, tell them, hey, don't try to switch from telecom to cloud. Instead of that, try to fine tune your existing skills and then, add some cherry on the cake, right? With the cloud. So instead of, just thinking, because if you go to cloud just as a fresher or as an entry level engineer, you will not be able to justify your salaries what you are getting today. So you need to fine tune your current skills and then add cloud to those skills, and that will help you in the long run. I hope that also makes sense, right? Correct, Naveen?
Yeah, I think which is absolutely right. That's the reason in starting I was saying why you want to go. Do you really understand it? All those
Yeah.
things. I think always look for that. I think just don't just don't go with buzzwords, all those things. I think that's the message which Sanjay is also saying.
Yeah.
See what value it can add with what skills you have, how can you leverage both and move forward. As simple as that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Great. So, I think Bhavna, Bhavna, your question has been answered, but I'll just, ask if Naveen or Sanjay wants to add any pointers there. So, sir, I have done AWS Solution Architect course from Training Institute, Hyderabad. I uploaded my resume in Naukri. All the companies are asking for experience. How should I get into a job being a fresher? Please let me know the right path. Uh, yeah,
So Bhavana, I think good you are done architect, right? That's what I was saying, right? Just doing certification might not give you a job, but which kind of roles you are applying? Are you applying for architect positions given just because you have architect certification? Because architect needs experience for sure. Or are you applying for entry levels? Given your fresher, you should start looking for cloud engineers. Or if you're even instead of you have cloud architect, if you're not strong in technical skills like coding development, you might need to start with administrator roles, or you might need to start with cloud support engineer roles, right? Check which levels you are applying. I'm not sure which levels are applying, but irrespective of all that, which level you are applying, what I would say overall is simple thing is how can you build experience, right? That's one of the key things which everybody misses. To get experience, you don't need to work in a company. I gave an example, right? Start thinking about what kind of projects can I build. I think when you wrote cloud architect certification, there will be a lot of use cases which the exam would have asked you. Okay, if you are building a media application like YouTube, for example, right? How can you build YouTube miniature version of YouTube, which could scale to 100 users using AWS? Can you think about it? Can you build that using AWS? Spend some energy there using free resources, or maybe every year for 3-4 months spending 2,000 per month or 1,000 month. I think you will not incur cost just because you deployed something. You will not incur cost. So see what you learn. How can you make a product which is out there in the market? So the way you need to build is what are the projects which people are looking. There are a lot of in the GitHub. If you go and check, right, there are a lot of open source projects which people talk about. Building YouTube kind of thing, building web chatting applications, or building overall like Facebook application, or building like a WhatsApp application. Start building your own application with all the things which you learn in the free time or with some incurring cost, doesn't matter. But overall, that experience is important, and you can put that into your resume. And at the same time, there are GitHub projects where people are looking for partnerships. People say, we need some open source contributions. Can someone help us? Well, given you are already an architect, right? See if you can train someone else by sharing knowledge. That is also experience for you. You'll also get the experience that way. So there are ways, multiple ways where you can get the experience. Once you get the experience, you can upfront say that, hey, I haven't worked on any company, but instead of not having any job opportunities, this is the way I am working on it to learn myself, to more do it. or to help some GitHub repository by contributing it, all this thing. These experiences, people look into it. The reason people ask experience, a manager, hiring manager, as a hiring manager, usually I always ask, is do you have only theory versus practicality? Can you talk about practicality? I think I would say that if you get those things, it's easy. Thank you.